Okay, so let's have a look at this thing then. It's 10 questions that every Christian must answer. An intelligent Christian even, so I think even a dumb Christian could answer most of these questions, but let's have a look at it. Okay, so why won't God heal amputees? Well, let's see. First of all, there's something wrong with that question because it contains a statement, and no matter what I answer, I have to accept the statement that God does not heal amputees. Now I don't know of any amputees that have been healed, but I don't know any amputees at all. So I don't know if God heals amputees or not. I would suspect that it does. I know that I know examples of cancer being healed. I know broken legs that have been restored in seconds. I know blind people have received their sight back. I know all this from first-hand reliable sources. Um, So why would God not heal amputees? And even if it didn't heal amputees, why are not those things enough? Is the problem really a lack of evidence, or is it just that they want different evidence than they already have? Um, I think I think the latter is true. I think that even if I knew of an amputee that had been healed, they would just come up with some other condition that they didn't think God could fix, and then go for that one instead. Okay, so we know that God is good, so he shouldn't want people to suffer, right? And we know that God is all powerful, so he should be able to do something about it. So why are there so many starving people in the world? Well, if you read a little more of the Bible than you have to come up with contorted questions, you should notice that in Genesis 3, Adam and Eve rebels against God, and sin is quite a serious matter in his eyes. And in order to illustrate the seriousness of our sin, he subjected the entire universe um, to corruption, to vanity. The entire universe started falling apart the moment that Adam and Eve sinned, as a result of their sin, and as a picture of their sin, an illustration that God used to show mankind the seriousness of rebelling against Him, the spiritual significance of this sin. And all suffering in the world is because of this. Um, Now, partially it's because of natural disasters, climate things. Some places are too cold, some places are too hot to grow any food, so people starve because of that. Partially it's because of injustice. I mean, Africa is a fertile place, really, but we in the Western world have unfair trade agreements and stuff, so we really exploit them. So partially it's that human evil element, and partially it's just the universe falling apart as a result of sin. Okay, so why does God demand the death of so many innocent people in the Bible? Well, all the examples that the video mentions are actually guilty people, adulterers and homosexuals and Sabbath breakers and stuff like that. So for your next video, I might suggest that you use verses like 1 Samuel 15:3, where God demands the life of infants and children, that would probably be a better example, because you'd have actual innocent people, or people who haven't sinned in a way that they are mature enough to be held accountable for. So why does God demand the death of these children in 1 Samuel 15:3? That would be a more difficult question to answer, so I'll go for that. First of all, the question assumes that God owes us a certain length of our of life, and in fact He doesn't. He gives each of us just as many years as He wants to. He doesn't have an obligation to make us live till we're old. He can take the life of anyone that He wants to at any time, because He's the giver of life. He has the right to do that for any purpose that He has. He doesn't need to give us a reason. He doesn't need to be accountable to anyone for this. If He gives you 100 years, you be thankful. If He gives you 1 day, you be thankful. In both cases, He's given you something that He didn't initially owe you. Why does the Bible contain so much anti-scientific nonsense? Well, it doesn't. Nope, doesn't. Next question. Slavery, huh? Well, being a proponent of slavery and dealing with the reality of slavery are two different things. The Bible deals with the reality of slavery, and it gives even some regulations for slavery, and regulations for how a slave owner is to treat his slaves, some regulations for how a slave is to behave. So the Bible deals with the reality of slavery. It doesn't really endorse it, and also think more in terms of employee-employer relationships, because that's what slavery was at this time. It's not like the modern slavery of the 17th and 18th century, where they went to Africa and captured some people against their will and dragged them to America and forced them to work at their cotton farms like they were animals. This is something entirely different. It's this type of slavery that was in the Bible would be where a person was sold into slavery because he could even sell himself into slavery because he couldn't pay his debt, for example, or that was the only way that he could support his family, and the slave owner would then be responsible for him and provide for him, and in return he would work for him. And there was even some regulations in the Bible for freeing slaves every 7 years, so you wouldn't be sold as a slave for life. So the Bible actually brings some liberty to slaves that they didn't have otherwise. When we think of the modern type of slavery, like the slave trade of the 17th and 18th centuries, then it was actually the Bible that inspired Christian men like William Wilberforce and others to put an end to this slave trade.